Okay, so imagine this. You're trading real estate, just like you would stocks, betting on entire cities,
Whoa,
not on individual properties.
pretty wild, right? That's Parcl. And that's what we're going deep on today.
Yeah, definitely interesting stuff for sure.
We've got some awesome research from Token Metrics to help us out too.
Really cool.
So Parcl, it's built on the Solana blockchain,
Yep.
and they want to completely change real estate investing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, think about it. You're not buying a house or an apartment. You're predicting whether an entire city's market will go up or down.
So like, are you bullish on Miami?
Right, exactly. Or bearish on San Francisco.
You're trading these city indexes that track how those markets move.
And the blockchain is a key piece here.
How so?
Well, it's basically a massive digital ledger. Super secure. Every transaction is recorded publicly.
So there's no hiding anything.
Right. Totally transparent. And tamper-proof, too.
Yeah.
Creates a much more efficient marketplace than like traditional real estate with all its paperwork and middlemen.
So you're not actually owning any physical property. It's more like betting on the future of a city.
Exactly. More like trading stocks.
Yeah.
You don't buy a piece of Apple. You're betting whether its price goes up or down.
Same idea here, but it's with cities.
Exactly.
This is where it gets really interesting, though.
Yeah, how so?
Well, Token Metrics reports that Parcl already has over $25 million in trading volume
That's right.
and $30 million in liquidity.
Yeah, pretty impressive for a relatively new platform.
It definitely suggests there's serious interest and maybe even early adoption.
Yeah, for sure.
But how do they calculate these city indexes in the first place? Some secret formula.
It's not really a secret, but it is pretty sophisticated.
Okay, how does it work?
So they use a ton of different data points, like average property prices, rental rates, even economic indicators like job growth and population trends.
Wow, a lot of info.
Yeah, and it's all crunched together to create this index that shows how healthy a city's real estate market is.
So it's more than just like housing prices.
Yeah, so the big picture.
And I heard Parcl just released a new version of their platform, Parcl V3, right?
Yeah, they're always improving things. Parcl V3 has a lot of cool upgrades, especially for the liquidity providers.
Okay, so who are those people?
They're the ones who kind of make the market work.
Yeah.
You could say they're essential.
So what's new for them?
Well, it's designed to be more scalable, meaning more people can participate without slowing things down.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
More users, more liquidity.
Right. And V3 makes sure it can handle it all smoothly.
Okay, so those liquidity providers, they sound crucial to the whole system.
Oh, they are. Totally crucial.
Oh.
They're like the fuel that keeps the Parcl engine running.
So how do they work exactly?
So they deposit funds into what's called a pool, and that pool becomes the counterparty to every trade on Parcl. They're basically taking the other side of every bet.
That sounds risky, though. What if everyone bets on one city and the market goes the other way?
That's where Parcl's risk management features come into play.
Okay, like what?
Well, they've got things like funding mechanisms to balance things out.
I don't really get how those work, though.
It's a little technical, but basically they incentivize traders to take positions that help keep the market stable.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say everyone's super bullish on Austin, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's betting the index will go up. Parcl's funding mechanisms would actually reward the few brave souls who bet against the trend, who think Austin might cool down. Helps prevent everyone from piling onto one side of the trade and wiping out the liquidity providers.
Okay, that makes sense. Keeps things a bit more balanced.
Exactly.
So what are some other ways they manage risk?
They also have these dynamic margin requirements. The riskier your bet, the more collateral you need to put up.
So bigger bets, bigger safety net.
Yeah, exactly. And that protects the liquidity providers from being wiped out by one really bad bet.
Makes sense. So everyone is protected.
In theory, at least.
And what about the price impact adjustments mentioned in the report?
Oh, right. That's a way to keep things fair for everyone. When someone makes a massive trade, it can really shift the market price dramatically.
Yeah, I've seen that happen with some meme stocks.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. These adjustments smooth things out. So one big investor doesn't come in and completely skew the market.
Okay, so it's like a built-in system to prevent manipulation.
Yep. Make sure the playing field is level.
Cool. So Parcl tries to make sure everyone gets a fair shot, whether they're a big investor or just starting out.
Exactly.
This is all pretty complex stuff, though. Did Parcl come up with all this themselves?
Well, they definitely innovated,
Mm-hmm.
but they took inspiration from some other successful platforms too. Their design is partly based on what's called the synthetics perps model.
Synthetics perps. What's that?
So synthetics is another platform. It's known for its synthetic assets.
What it is?
Basically tokens that track the value of real-world things, like gold stocks. or in this case, real estate.
Ah, okay.
Parcl borrowed some ideas from their perpetual futures trading platform,
Mm.
which gives traders more flexibility and leverage.
So they took some of the best ideas and applied them to real estate.
Yeah, smart move.
And it seems like they're getting attention from some big names in crypto, too.
Oh yeah, they've got serious backing investors like Dragonfly Capital Parify. Even Coinbase Ventures and Solana Ventures are on board.
Wow, that's impressive. So
Yeah.
who are the people behind all of this?
The CEO is Trevor Bacon, and the COO is Kellen Grenier.
Okay. And what's their background?
Both have a ton of experience in finance. Makes sense given what Parcl is doing.
Definitely. And the rest of the team?
They've got people from Meta, Microsoft, Morgan Stanley. The list goes on.
Wow, so they've got the experience and the backing. But this is still pretty new territory, right? What kind of risks are they facing?
Yeah, there are definitely challenges ahead,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to regulations. The crypto world is still kind of figuring things out,
Mm,
and the rules are always changing.
that makes sense. So that's something we should dive deeper into.
Yeah, definitely.
We need to unpack those potential risks and what it all means for the future of real estate.
Definitely a lot to discuss there.
But first, we need to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, so we've got this platform, Parcl. You can trade real estate like it's stocks. It's powered by blockchain. And they've got some serious backing from major crypto players.
Yeah.
But like we've been saying, there are bound to be risks and challenges along the way.
Oh, absolutely. And a big one that Parcl faces, like a lot of crypto projects, is the whole regulatory landscape. It's constantly evolving.
Okay, so let's break that down. What are some of the specific regulatory challenges Parcl might run into?
Well, they're kind of bridging two worlds, right? Traditional finance with all its rules,
Yeah.
and then decentralized finance, DeFi, which is still new and pushing the boundaries.
So they've got to navigate both.
Yep, a whole web of regulations, things like securities laws, tax implications,
Right.
and then there's AML and KYC.
Right. AML and KYC, we hear those all the time. But can you remind us why they're so important for Parcl?
Sure, think of them like the guardrails for the financial system,
Okay.
AML and KYC. They're designed to prevent bad guys from using platforms like Parcl for money laundering or other illegal stuff.
So basically keeping things clean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Traditional financial institutions have super strict procedures
Yeah.
to verify their customers' identities
Right.
and make sure nothing shady's going on.
And regulators want to see those same safeguards in the crypto world, too.
Yep. They want to protect the integrity of the whole financial system.
Whether it's happening on Wall Street or on the blockchain.
Right. Doesn't matter where the money is flowing.
Mm.
They want to make sure it's clean.
Makes sense. But how does this impact a decentralized platform like Parcl? It seems like that clashes with the whole idea of anonymity and being decentralized.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. Parcl will likely need to put in some robust AML and KYC procedures to comply.
What would that look like?
Well, probably verifying users' identities,
Right.
monitoring transactions,
Right.
reporting any suspicious activity to the authorities.
So it's like this balancing act.
It is. They want to be open and accessible,
Yeah.
but they also can't let their platform be used for illegal stuff.
Definitely a tough spot. Is this something the entire crypto industry is dealing with?
Oh, yeah. It's a hurdle everyone is trying to figure out. But if Parcl can strike that balance the right way,
Yeah.
it could actually build more trust and legitimacy,
Mhm.
both with investors and with regulators.
Interesting. It's like by playing by the rules, they're taken more seriously.
Exactly.
Okay, what about securities laws? Where do those fit into all of this?
That's a big one. The key question is whether Parcl's city indexes would be considered securities under the current laws.
So, like, are you buying a piece of a company?
Or are you buying into a speculative market?
Is it an investment or a gamble?
Exactly. And if those city indexes are deemed securities, Parcl might have to register with the SEC.
The Securities and Exchange Commission.
Yep. And then they'd have to follow all these rules and reporting requirements.
That sounds like it could slow them down.
It could. Navigating all these regulatory hurdles is time-consuming and expensive.
Yeah.
But it's super important for Parcl to get this right. Failing to comply with securities laws could mean big fines, legal trouble, damage to their reputation.
It's a high-stakes game.
It is. They're walking this tightrope between innovating and complying with the rules.
Okay, so we've talked about the regulatory challenges, but let's zoom out for a sec. What's the bigger picture here? How could Parcl potentially change real estate investing?
That's where it gets really interesting. Parcl could disrupt the traditional real estate market in a few key ways.
Like what?
First, it increases liquidity.
Okay.
Imagine being able to instantly buy and sell fractions of a city's real estate market,
Wow.
24/7.
That's totally different from buying and selling physical property.
Oh, yeah. That process can be so slow and cumbersome. This is like trading stocks online versus calling your broker every time you want to make a move.
Much easier.
Way easier. And this increased liquidity could attract a whole new wave of investors to real estate. People who might not have had the capital or the patience to deal with traditional real estate.
So it's about making real estate investing more accessible.
Exactly. Democratizing access. Opening up opportunities for people who might not have had the means to invest before.
That could be huge for wealth creation.
It could. And for financial inclusion, too.
I imagine there are some critics who aren't so thrilled about this, though.
Oh, there are definitely some concerns.
Like what?
Well, some people worry that platforms like Parcl could make the real estate market more volatile
Okay.
or even contribute to housing bubbles
How so?
because you're speculating on these city indexes. There's a risk that prices could get disconnected from what's actually happening in the real estate market.
So like any investment, it's important to do your homework, understand the risks, don't get swept up in the hype.
Exactly. Parcl is innovative for
Yeah.
sure, but
Yeah.
it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's crucial to understand how it works and what the risks are.
Definitely. So we've talked about the regulatory challenges, the potential benefits, the potential risks. What else should we be thinking about when we're looking at Parcl's future?
One thing is their team,
Okay.
their ability to execute their vision. We talked about their experience.
Yeah.
And their impressive backers.
Yeah.
But they're also constantly improving their platform. Parcl V3 shows they're committed to innovation and listening to user feedback.
That's important. They need to be able to adapt and evolve.
Oh, yeah. Especially in the crypto world. Things move fast.
And their governance structure seems pretty adaptable, too.
It is. And the possibility of a DAO in the future suggests they're thinking long-term and embracing decentralization.
So they're building more than just a platform. They're building a community.
Yeah, exactly. And that's huge for building trust and attracting users.
We also talked about Parcl tapping into this booming real-world asset sector.
Yep.
Why is there so much excitement around bringing traditional assets onto the blockchain?
A few reasons. Blockchain makes it possible to tokenize those assets,
Okay.
which means you can divide them into smaller, more tradable units.
Ah, okay.
Opens up a whole world of fractional ownership and global liquidity.
So instead of needing millions to buy an apartment building,
Right? You could buy a tiny fraction of it on Parcl.
that's cool. It makes it much more accessible.
Exactly. Lowers the barrier to entry for investors.
What are some other benefits of bringing real-world assets onto the blockchain?
Well, blockchain also brings transparency and security,
Right.
which traditional markets often lack.
Yeah.
All transactions are recorded on the blockchain, so there's less chance of fraud or manipulation.
Makes sense. And it cuts out a lot of the middlemen and paperwork.
Oh, yeah. Huge headache in real estate. Blockchain streamlines everything, makes it faster, cheaper, more efficient for everyone involved.
It's amazing to see Parcl merging the benefits of blockchain with the potential of real estate. But we need to circle back to those regulatory challenges. How are they addressing those concerns?
Great question. And what are the potential implications if they don't get it right?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, that's something we need to dive into a bit deeper.
Definitely. Understanding the regulatory landscape is key for evaluating Parcl's long-term viability.
Absolutely. And the future of decentralized real estate investing.
Okay, so let's take a quick break to gather our thoughts.
That's good.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential of Parcl to really shake things up in real estate investing.
Yeah.
But we keep coming back to this question of regulation.
It's the big one.
It's like this huge unknown hanging over the whole crypto world.
Definitely a major factor to consider.
Because Parcl is essentially merging two worlds, right? Traditional finance with all its established rules.
Yeah.
And then you've got DeFi, decentralized finance.
Right. Still in its early stages and kind of pushing the limits of those rules.
So where do those two worlds collide? Like, what are the specific regulatory hurdles Parcl needs to clear?
Well, we talked about AML and KYC, making sure there's no money laundering and that they know who their customers are.
Right, right.
But another huge one is securities laws.
Right, because if those city indexes are considered securities,
Yep. Then things get a lot more complicated.
Parcl would need to register with the SEC, follow all these strict guidelines.
Exactly. And they might even have to limit who can invest on the platform.
Wow, that could create some friction. Especially since they're trying to make real estate investing more accessible to everyone.
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If Parcl can figure out how to navigate all these regulatory complexities,
Yeah.
it could actually make them a stronger and more trusted platform.
It's like by playing by the rules, they earn legitimacy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that could lead to more mainstream adoption.
Attract institutional investors.
Right. And ultimately help legitimize the whole decentralized real estate sector.
Makes sense. But what happens if they don't get it right? What are the consequences if they stumble on the regulatory front?
Well, the stakes are pretty high. We're talking potential fines,
Yeah.
legal battles, maybe even having to shut down parts of the platform.
Wow.
It could really damage their reputation and scare away investors.
So they can't afford to mess this up.
Nope. They need a solid legal team,
Oh.
a proactive approach to compliance, and they need to be ready to adapt as the regulations change.
Which seems to happen a lot in crypto.
All the time. It's a fast-moving space.
Okay, so let's imagine Parcl clears all the hurdles. What does the future of real estate investing look like then, if platforms like this become the norm?
It's an exciting thought. Real estate could become as liquid as stocks.
Wow.
You could buy and sell fractional ownership of properties with a few clicks.
Amazing. And it would all be transparent and secure thanks to the blockchain.
Right. But that brings up another question.
Yeah, what's that?
Could this kind of disruption actually make housing more affordable? Or would it just create another way for wealthy investors to get richer?
That's a good question. I mean, the potential is there to democratize access to real estate, create more opportunities for people who've been priced out of the market,
Right. But it's also possible that it could lead to more speculation.
drive prices even higher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really depends on how these platforms evolve, how regulators respond, and how people use them.
So many factors at play.
A lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
But one thing is clear. Parcl is leading the charge in a potential massive shift in how we think about and invest in real estate.
It's been fascinating to really dive deep into all this with you,
Yeah, me too.
exploring how their platform works, the benefits and risks, the whole regulatory landscape.
It's a complex but super interesting space.
What do you think is the biggest takeaway from all of this?
I think it's the potential for disruption. Parcl shows how blockchain can transform traditional industries. And real estate is definitely ripe for that kind of change.
Whether they succeed or fail, it seems like they've paved the way for others to follow.
Absolutely.
So the question isn't if real estate will be disrupted, it's how.
And who's going to do it?
That's a discussion that'll be unfolding for years to come.
For sure.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Parcl and the future of real estate. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll be back soon to explore another corner of the blockchain world. But until then, stay curious and keep exploring.